brewing in Mumbai's housing market. Now that the stamp duty waiver has ended and the worst of the COVID-19 second wave is behind the maximum city, how is demand for residential apartments holding up? Which are the fastest selling micro markets and at what price? Let's get the answers on today's property show. I'm Manisha Natarajan, and joining me on the panel, Abhishek Lodha, MD and CEO of Lodha Group, the largest developer by units and values sold in Mumbai region known as MMR, both in the financial year of 2020 and 2021. Abhishek, it's good to have you with us.
Pleasure to be with you.
Ramesh Nair, CEO and country head of India Colliers. Ramesh has recently taken over the mandate to lead and grow this Nasdaq listed IPC. Ramesh, congratulations on your new role.
Thanks, Manisha. Thanks for having me.
And we also have with us Pankaj Kapoor, founder and MD of Lyzis Forus. The data from Lyzis is an important part of today's discussion. Pankaj, a big thanks to you for joining in and your team for doing all this data crunching for us.
Thank you so much, Manisha.
All right, we'll kick off the discussion with the first question to Abhishek. Abhishek, there seems to be a general optimism around Mumbai's housing market, which has been missing, I must say, for quite some years. Almost everyone is expecting sales and profitability of developers to only go one way, which is up. Are sales really that good?
Manisha, I think the consensus is now starting to change to the fact that Mumbai's property market is in a very, very balanced position when it comes to supply and demand. We've had 6 years from 2014-15 all the way up to 2020, where prices went sideways or even down, driven by oversupply. With the consolidation in the marketplace, as well as the good sales that have happened over the last 12-15 months, the supply has really moderated and demand is picking up because people having been underbought in housing for the last few years, plus combined with the fact that COVID has made everybody understand how important a house is to their own life. People want bigger homes, an extra room to work or study from home. People want some outdoor space and so on. And the quality of good and the availability of good quality properties is very limited. So I think Mumbai is at the start of a long term, I would say at least 3 to 5 year bull run in housing, where not only will there be a growth in prices, but also a growth in volumes. And in housing, that typically tends to be the case that as prices move up, everybody who's been standing on the side jumps in and volumes also grow. So we feel pretty bullish about where Mumbai is and where it is headed.
I'm looking at the price data, Abhishek, which has come from Lyzis Forus. And honestly, in the last 5 to 6 years, prices have not gone up, pretty much have remained flat. What gives you the confidence? Or is it just the supply cost, input prices going up, that inflation which you're going to pass on? I mean, do you have the pricing power, simply asked?
I think the question is answered partly within the question itself. There has been no price growth for 5 to 6 years, and that itself is pretty startling. And that's led to the fact that supply has reduced because profitability has been under pressure for a large number of developers, and financial closure has been under pressure for a large number of developers. And that is why, today the developers who are able to deliver on time, who have a reputation for quality, who have a reputation for making sure that the projects are maintained well after completion, they command pricing power, and people want to live in those kinds of developments. We took a modest price rise in January. We took another price rise in April. And we do believe that these price rises, which are going to be modest, because we don't think that price rises should be higher than the rate of wage growth. And wage growth this year will be around 6 to 8%. And we will look at a situation where price growth is also in that 5 to 7% bracket, so that not only is there price growth and that rewards the people who buy, but it also means that affordability remains good because today the volumes will pick up as affordability remains strong. But we do have this Goldilocks period where you can have 6 to 8% price growth and yet affordability remains strong. And that, I think, is what is going to drive Mumbai housing for the next few years.
All right, Ramesh, are you that optimistic about Mumbai's housing sector? I mean, both in terms of the fact that developers should be able to get that 6 to 8% price increase, absorb that without dampening demand, and just the sales numbers per se.
Manisha, I agree with Abhishek that over the last 1.5 years, we've seen the market becoming more balanced. I would differentiate the market into 3 phases. First was the March 20 to September 2020 phase, where there was like complete pause on activities. The second phase was between October 20 to March 21, where there was a very sharp V-shaped recovery thanks to stamp duty, discounts, interest rates, availability of apartments. And the third phase, which is what we've been seeing since from April to June 21, where we've seen things kind of stagnate a little bit, but sales are still happening. Buyers know that it's not going to be as bad as last time around. Buying cycles are increasing. Previously, a buyer would take a decision in 30 days. Now that's becoming 60 days. Developers, obviously the sales also reduced because stamp duty benefits offered by the government stopped, and also developers stopped giving those big discounts which they were giving before that. So I would say it's divided into three phases. On the pricing front, Manisha, even in the last 5 years, I would say that prices were increasing at the 2-3% mark every year. Wasn't increasing like 15-20% or 10-15% what people have been used to before. But there was still a price increase of around 2-3% happening. And I'm confident going forward as ready-built apartments get lapped up very fast, prices will have to go up because it's always a demand-supply game.
Pankaj, on sales, I can see that the figures which have come from Lysis Forus, there's a clear robustness coming back. In fact, in the first 6 months of 2021, we've seen numbers despite a pretty strong second wave, which are matching 2019 first 6 months. But in pricing, I'm actually not seeing that robustness at all. Numbers for MMR as a whole are looking more depressed.
Yeah, I've seen the pricing has been subdued for last 5 years, and largely because my inventory has been very high. You have been having an inventory overhang over 50 months, which is still holding right now, and that's the basic reason prices have remained subdued also. And you need to also see that the pandemic has converted the real estate market into a buyer's market. Builders have to give a discounts and offers. And because of the stamp duty reductions by the state government has really brought a fancy to the market, and that's kind of thing why the sales are there. So it's a kind of a market where the discount draws the people. It's a Amazon sales like or any kind of other commodity sales. When the prices goes down, the buyers come forward to purchase the property. I do not see the price.
Pankaj, are you not seeing the commodity price increases? I mean, everything from steel to cement, everything's gone up. So there is a cost inflation that developers have to bear. Are you saying that they will not be able to pass that on to the home buyers also?
They have not been in past also. They have been given, they have been the pressure of the GST. Many other commodity prices has been increasing over last 5 years. Why the prices have not been able to go up? Largely because if you have a commitment to deliver 2.5 lakh units and your sales annually is just 65,000 units, you have to increase the volumes and sales. And I see that there is still a huge volume which has to get increased for the market to sustain the kind of inventory which is available. During this period, we have seen slight reductions in new launches, but that has not reduced the overall pace. Still, it's unsustainable, and that's why I don't get the outlook.
Abhishek, all right. Abhishek, counter that. I mean, the whole inventory overhang story, or I know the developers have a big problem with the inventory overhang numbers that both media and data analysts like Pankaj use. But if I differentiate the market even within under construction and ready to move in, so ready to move in inventory in Mumbai MMR is actually at a very comfortable level. It's come down to 17 months from 20 months which it was last year. But under construction inventory overhang is still a huge 63 months. That just leaves very little room for price increase.
Manisha, I'll want to get into a little bit more detail on those data numbers, and I believe the data numbers. I'm not arguing whether that's right or wrong. The question is what is in that data sets. Firstly, there is nothing like the MMR market. A person who's a buyer for central Mumbai is not really concerned with the supply of inventory, for example, in the extended western suburbs and so on. So you have to break it up into each micro market supply and demand dynamics. The second thing which is important to take into account is the fact that when you look at under construction supply, what is the supply that the potential consumer is willing to consider to buy. Any project where work has not been ongoing in a steady pace for the last 6 months is out of the picture for the consumer, because no consumer wants to take on risk. So anytime a developer, anytime in the last 5-7 years has announced a project, that gets added to the so-called inventory or the under construction inventory. However, the fact of the matter is that when the consumer is buying, he is very keen to buy either from the top 3 to 5 names. Those names I think most consumers are consistently clear about, or they want to buy the building when the RCC of the, they want to buy with a tier 2 developer when the RCC of the building is at least complete, because at that point in time that there are not likely to be any title or approval issues. Now, when you look at the supply, which has not been stuck for the last 6 months, or the supply where the RCC has been completed, we believe that is the real credible supply that the consumer is concerned with. And that is the reason why we as a developer who operates at a very large volume. So as Lodha, we deliver anywhere we sell between 8 to 10,000 plus homes every year. So for us, volume is very important. And yet we've been able to take price increases both in January as well as in April. And I think the proof of the pudding actually lies in the eating. We've done it. Sales continue to remain strong. And we do believe that the commodity price inflation, which is not a small number, it is going to be something that developers are going to be able to pass on to consumers. I respect the fact that there are parts of the MMR where the supply may be higher, but in general, the MMR is in a very healthy supply-demand position when you're able to distill out what is credible supply.
Credible supply, I think that's the buzz line here. Very quickly, can you also tell us in that now that you have experience of selling 8 to 10,000 units, and you are, Abhishek, in that segment of mid to actually super luxury, right? What has been the fastest selling product? Is it the premium segment which has been the fastest selling, or are you still being able to sell the mid-income homes the fastest?
So Manisha, as a company, we have a wide range of product. We sell everything. We of course do a lot of premium housing, which is 5 crores all the way up to 50 crores. But we also do a lot of affordable and mid-income housing. For us, affordable is between 30 lakhs and a crore. And that segment has been quite resilient over the last 5-6 years. And affordable housing has been consistent, and it has a certain, I would say, steadiness to it. What has changed in the last 12 months is that I think the premium segment has picked up much more meaningfully. That was down in the doldrums prior to 2020. And currently the pace of sales in the premium segment is quite strong. This is I would say the 5 to 10 crore bucket. We don't really pay too much about the 10 crore bucket. It really is the 5 to 10 crore bucket that we play in. And our belief is that today the premium segment is back, the affordable continues to remain quite steady, and then the middle, which is the 1 crore to 5 crore bracket, or the 1 crore to 4 crore bracket up to $500,000, that again is a segment which is starting to pick up a lot of momentum. Because I think, the buyer who's buying the first time home, who is the affordable housing buyer between 30 lakhs to a crore, buys when there is a need. The buyer who is, buying anything, say 2.5 crores and upwards, 2 crores to 10 crores, that range, buys when he feels a need, which I think COVID has triggered, but also believes that it's a good time to buy. Good time to buy could be driven by a variety of factors, but one of the primary factors that influences it is the likelihood of price increase and whether I will have my choice of inventory available. So I think on both those factors, there's been a very meaningful transition over the last 9 to 12 months. And the fact that the sales in those segments have picked up is evidence, I would say, of the fact that there is a growing consensus now of the fact that real estate is now, housing is back into a position of strength and will do quite well from this point onwards.
Ramesh, every real estate company's stock is buzzing. I would say the good ones, right? So they've gone up 60 to 90%. So clearly there is this inherent, I would agree with Abhishek that there is this inherent, confidence that housing demand is returning. Are you surprised at all or not at all about the fact that the premium segment seems to be catching on now? This is the one where people are wanting to upgrade a home, salaried class, and therefore they have a lot of disposable income, and this would probably be more than affordable housing, the one to watch out for in the coming years.
I'm not a stock market expert, so I won't comment on that.
Don't comment
Manisha.
on that. Just, it was a lead up.
But for the first time, Manisha, in the last 5-6 years, you're actually seeing, like Abhishek said, luxury is definitely picked up momentum. And initially, we thought it was the stamp duty reduction, but that kind of demand is still going up. And the main reason for that is the urge for bigger homes. And this trend is continued even after the stamp duty reductions were stopped by the government. Another big trend which we are also seeing is, Manisha, the small size apartments has again picked up momentum. So your 1 BHK, which is a size of around 400 to 450 square feet carpet, your 2 BHK, which is 600 to 700 square feet carpet, and 3 BHK, 900 to 1100 square feet carpet. That also we have seen very good momentum. Again, compact homes, which is well designed, good developers, nearing completion or ready for moving in. Definite pickup even after the stamp duty waivers were taken off.
All right, gentlemen, hold your thoughts. 400 to 450 square feet. I think we're being generous when we talk about that one bedroom in Mumbai. It actually goes down to as low as 300 square feet. And we Delhiites have always grappled with that little number and continues to make headlines as India's most expensive market. That's Mumbai. We come back and ask our panelists, how can you make it a little bit more affordable, if not a lot more affordable? Stay with us. Mumbai's real estate prices and sizes are always in news. From the recent sales of multi-crore and trophy homes in South Mumbai to the shrinking sizes of apartments have invited jokes and memes across social media and of course also made headlines in mainline media. But the fact remains that for many middle-class home seekers, the affordability gap in this maximum city remains a big challenge. Abhishek, if I look at what can you do with affordability, and I've been covering real estate now for about 9 years. Two ways, if you'll agree with me. One is to bring more land, maybe the slum land as well, and dilapidated buildings at affordable rates and develop them. And the other is to make infrastructure so good that you can stay 50 kilometers away, but you don't feel the pinch of traveling to work. Do you believe that either of this is going to happen going forward?
Manisha, I'd like to kind of, first challenge this assumption. We've been in this situation of an oversupplied market for the last 6-7 years. And I would say everybody suffered. People who bought homes suffered, banks suffered, developers suffered. The fact of the matter is that a solid real estate market is the cornerstone of any well-performing economy. And that because it leads to a lot of employment creation, and it also leads to wealth creation because homeowners, as their prices go up, start feeling better off. And there is a lot of research to support what I'm about to say. That is that people buy homes on account of the fact that it becomes a savings instrument for them. And the modest steady appreciation in housing prices is something which helps society to consume more because of the safety net of the home. So I don't think that people buy homes till such time that a person buys a home, you would like the price to be low, and the moment you buy a home, you would like the price to be higher. Now, this dichotomy can only be made good with steadiness. We can't have policies or decisions which, suddenly increase supply or suddenly, sort of have an impact on demand. What we do have to do is what you mentioned, which is to have good quality infrastructure, good connectivity. And I think this new mode of work from home is one, way of addressing the connectivity gap because people have to travel to work perhaps 3 times a week rather than 5 times a week. And that will help, certain better value areas start becoming much more attractive for people to live in. I think the fact of the matter continues to remain that housing prices moving up steadily is great for the economy. And I think what Mumbai has done, whether it is the tightening of the sizes, which improves affordability, because affordability is not on a per square foot basis. Affordability is on the total value of the home basis. So the tighter sizes and the better infrastructure, both of which I think Mumbai has, tighter sizes it has already done, and better infrastructure with the road, the Trans Harbour Link, the new airport, and so on. I think the government is attempting to do. A combination of both of those is going to make Mumbai a lot more attractive as a place to live in. I think Mumbai's quality of life, driven by its safety, education, healthcare, work culture is fantastic. Today, office spaces in Mumbai are available at prices which are as competitive as in Bangalore or Hyderabad. And therefore, I think, Mumbai's overall attractiveness as a place for people to work in, live in, and set up their companies is going to continue to grow. And affordability will come not by reduction in the prices, because I think every home buyer, everybody who owns a home, eventually wants a modest increase in prices year after year.
Ramesh, quick wrap out from you. I mean, Abhishek is saying, why are you looking? It's already very affordable. So let's look at a scenario where you can actually see modest increase in prices going forward and better infrastructure. Will that happen for Mumbai?
I'll just add one more line to what Abhishek said, Manisha. I think from the government side, that FSI premium reduction, which they did last year, that'll help in creating supply, which will add to new launches in the next 6 months. We were worried till around 6 months back that new supply won't come in because there is financial strain on the developers, plus the migrant labor issues. But now what we're seeing is a lot of good developers are planning new supply in the next 6 months. And what's driving this is mainly the FSI premium reduction.
All right, new supply. Well, we'll see how prices move, but there is not a very clear consensus on whether prices are going to get stronger, but the overall Mumbai residential market seems poised for excellent sales growth in the next 3 to 5 years. That's it from me, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me to give me your views. Same time next week, we'll bring you a data-driven deep dive into another major city of Maharashtra, Pune. So don't forget to tune in.